already know my homies, they're watching me grow. From a wash up to a come up, grind all night till the sun up. At the club squad, we gon' turn up, rolling out to that sticky and burn up. So don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head, yeah. Coming on strong with a shout out to Snoop Dogg, Tupac and Drake, burning some for all the real ones.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cult of Khan level 20, or the main character level 20. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Main Character Podcast Level 20, made possible by the Cult of Khan. That's you guys. And thank you for being here. Yo, this was like the glory days, guys.
Damn, I've been through this shit before. I demand respect. I command respect. Stacking up bills and cash and checks. Even if a motherfucker wanna start tripping, acting like they large in the charge, I'ma just keep sipping on a drink. Take a little bit of time to think, then I'm back. I attack, calm man on the track, and I'm working on the beat every time that I rap. I can do it like this, I can do it like that. You can't take the heat, step back or get charred. Lyrical.
Just a little bit more memory lane for you guys. So that music video is an older one. Just wanted to share that with you guys. That's a creation from what we called The Outpost, which is kind of like the YouTube channel that became the Cult of Khan. So I used to live in this 1960-something really blown out travel trailer. There was like mold and like it was rotten. And when I lived there, I had... Actually, here's a great screenshot of your boy. Like, I used to have Scene Kid hair. Here, let's check it out. Just check it out. There's the shitty trailer. And I had two-colored Scene Kid hair, and man, it was just a different time. So, different guy. Smoking and drinking and having all those crazy times. It was awesome. Anyway, so here we are. Welcome back, everybody. I'm popping into chat really quick. Say hi to everybody. How we all doing today? We got David, new David, my man. Welcome in. You are the inspiration for tonight's episode, my friend. The based Christian guy meme. So apparently, I don't know if you guys know this, but new David brought up that from a profile, I look a lot like that Christian based guy meme, you know. The human sacrifices will stop. I thought that was awesome, so I made the tonight's thumbnail be my face in profile, so you guys could kind of enjoy that. What's up, Pearl? How we doing? What's up, Dojo? Welcome in, my friend. Glad to hear you made it safe. I hope the new place is good and everything's going good over there, my friend. Adrienne, welcome in. Good to see ya. We got Wendy. Welcome back, Wendy. Wendy's always here. I don't think Wendy has missed a single day. That's dedication. That's high level. That's zealotry, is what we call that. Sandra Moore, welcome in. Mama, good to see ya. Really, really great to see you guys tonight. I've got so many good things to talk about. I'm so excited. First things first, I'm going to talk about the big one first. We'll deal with one thing and then we'll go on to the next thing. So as you guys know, it's holiday season. This is the month of December. And obviously it's time for that winter time holiday season that comes around. You guys know how it is. And anyway, I don't want to do a big like Christmas breakdown. We will do that, but I just don't want to do that today. But I do want to talk a little bit about this thing, and we're going to go ahead and just like plug in and check it out. Because I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but this season's holiday movie starring Jack Black, Dear Santa. Check it out.
Every Christmas, something magical happens.
Dear Santa.
When a kid sends a letter to Santa. But Liam...
To Santa.
...is a crappy speller.
This looks like fun.
Oh, that's putrid.
Thank you.
What do you want?
You summoned me.
Not what I expected.
What'd you expect?
In the movies, the reindeer usually have the antlers, not you.
Kid, are you high?
I'm ready for this.
You lucked out big time, so I'm way better than Santa. Ho, ho, frickin' ho! You, my friend, are getting 3 wishes.
You mean like a genie?
They stole that from me. By the way, after you make your wishes, I'm taking your soul.
What?
You ain't never had a friend like me. Okay, that I may have stolen from Aladdin. Now we're even. Let me show you a few of the things I could do for you. I'll be right back.
It's Post Malone.
Leo!
Of course it's Post Malone.
Look, I'm worried Santa's going to trick
This
me
is
into
fair
getting a
use.
soul.
We are reviewing a movie trailer. This is fair use.
We believe you.
Look, a whole cast of Satanists. Isn't that funny?
Waiting for? Go make a move! Sue me, I'm thirsty.
I tried everything. That kid's incorruptible.
What about doing something out of kindness?
I don't even know what you just said. I mean, I know all the words, but I just never heard them in that order.
You know this man?
I'm his uncle. Beat it.
Who do you think you are talking to me like that? Oh!
That doesn't sound right.
Pardon me, kombucha.
Watch this.
Lock. No! Please! Never trust a thought. You just gambled and lost.
Nice to meet you. The pleasure was mine.
All right, what do we think, guys? Before I start tearing into this thing, what do you guys think? It's so par for the course, isn't it? We're in the little season, and 'tis the season of who? You know what I mean? It's like every year the battle gets more and more intense, right? This is one of those things that I'm really interested to see how this pans out. First of all, I don't think it's that funny looking. I honestly don't think the movie is going to hit. I mean, like, who's the audience, right? Who's the target demographic? Because think about, like, most Americans that are, traditional, conservative, they're worried about people saying happy holidays, right? Like, the culture is eroding the Christmas tradition of Jesus, and it's becoming replaced with commercialism and Santa Claus, and, this has been the fight for Christians for 40, 50 years now. And then they say, it's just shocking. I can't even believe I'm surprised, but why wouldn't I be? I mean, like, here's Christmas. It's already a corrupted holiday. There's a lot to unpack about that, but just look at how they decide to go full out and just be like, you know what? Satan for Christmas. And that's the thing I don't get. Like I said, the target demographic, most traditional, regular American people, like, voted for Trump. One of Trump's big things is that he's like, we're not going to say happy holidays. We're going to say Merry Christmas. We're going to keep saying Merry Christmas. So people want Christmas, even if it's their own kind of corrupted version of, like, it's in the Bible. The holiday of Christmas. I mean, it's not biblical, but whatever. The point is that these people clearly have no shame at all. I was just listening to a podcast with JT the other day, and he and Brian from Demon Erasers were talking about the origin of, like, spell branches and, like, holly branches and such. And I know this is true from other sources that, they used holly trees to make wands and staves and shit. And so Hollywood is like, of course, they're drawing a connection directly to their, like, witchcraft and total evil. And so lo and behold, Hollywood produces a Christmas movie that's just no more hiding this time. It's just about Satan for real. And I just didn't know what else to say, except obviously Jack Black is a real dirtbag. I'm going to pop in here with chat really quick and see what you guys have to say. Everyone's saying, Wendy says truth in plain sight. Dojo says Jack Black is full of demons. And plot twist, should have been the letter still arrives to Santa. I mean, yeah, right? Like, who is Santa Claus? Right? It's like, Pearl says she's not surprised. Great family movie. Yeah, exactly. It's perfect for the family this holiday season. Well, as you guys know, Jack Black has been involved in all kinds of weird Hollywood culty stuff. And as David brought up, new David, and I actually was tracking this, but I'm glad you brought it up. Let's go ahead and check out over here. Jack Black, Thomas Jacob Black, born August 28, 1969, American actor, comedian, musician. He's known for his roles in family and comedy films, in addition to his voice work in animated films, so on and so forth. He's also the lead vocalist of the band Tenacious D, which he formed in 1994 with longtime friend Kyle Gass. Longtime friend. I'd say butt buddy, if you ask me. That's his wife, or whatever you want to call that. But what's funny about this, right, is, Kyle here actually sunk Tenacious D. Like, the band is over, the tour was ruined, and that's because he made a joke about assassinating Trump and how they shouldn't have missed or something like that. Very poor tasting joke. I mean, condoning political violence at all is like a big no-no. Like, I'd probably get banned for even them thinking I was condoning it. This guy was on the stage thinking it was acceptable to open fire at the political leadership. Like, that's a whole other can of worms. But crazy, dude. Crazy. This season is just weird, right? We're going into like this, the Yule time. It's the Saturnalia. It's like, it's a really dark time of the year in reality. I think that's why they've incorporated the Christo holiday into the winter. I think that's why they've created the winter being the end of the year, right? I think you guys know about like Janus and like the deity of desiccation or whatever it is. We could do a deep dive into that. Maybe we'll include that in our Christmas deep dive. But obviously, what's important to know about Jack Black, and this is what New David was talking about, his mom is a gal called Judith Love Cohen. And some people will recognize that Cohen last name for being very, widely proliferated through Hollywood and other oligarchic classes. But Judith Love Cohen, born August 16, 1933, and perished in July 25, 2016, was an American aerospace engineer. She was an electrical engineer on the Minuteman missile, the Science Ground Station for the Hubble Space Telescope, the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite, and the Apollo space program. In particular, her work on the Abort Guidance System is credited with helping save Apollo 13. After her retirement from engineering, she founded a children's multimedia publishing company, eventually publishing more than 20 titles before her death in 2016. She was the mother of computer scientist and engineer Neil Siegel and actor and musician Jack Black. So wait a minute. I didn't know he had a brother. Neil Gilbert Siegel. Oh boy, he's got development of military systems, U.S. Army's first unmanned air vehicle system. You guys, why is Jack Black like a joking comedian, like a fat guy who plays guitar? Why is he associated with and brushing up with NASA and military technology scientists? You know what I mean? It's just weird. Like, say what you want to say about it, but it's super crazy. Super crazy. And the connections, they go even deeper. I'm sure the farther we dig, the more we can find. But doesn't it just tell you, like, the people who are famous, the people who are, up on the pedestals above us, the people who have all the money, the people who have all the stuff, all the notoriety, it's like they're passing it down to their own families. You know what I mean? I have a little rant about this. You guys know about DEF. Anyone who drives a diesel vehicle that was created after like 2014 or something like that, they're required to pour in this fluid called DEF, and it's basically like an it's a exhaust gas mitigation system. It's designed to reduce the amount of pollutants created by diesel vehicles. Anyway, it's a giant scam. I mean, I'm sure that I'd get in trouble for saying that, but it has to do with the giant myth about the climate and everything to do with that. But the point is that they created an entire industry basically overnight. There's only like 2 or 3 companies in the entire world that produce DEF. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's literally piss. It's made of piss. It's horse piss or something. I'm not even joking. Look it up. So they got people pouring piss into their fucking truck so that they can drive it around lawfully. And somebody got absolutely fucking rich off of starting a DEF company. This is another example of the kind of nepotism. So you got people like Jack Black who are created and made famous and thrust in your face. And that isn't to say that he isn't talented, but think about how much easier it is to find out what you're good at when your life consists of like going around and enjoying trust fund baby lifestyle off of your mother's NASA money and your dad and your brother and it's just your family. Nepotism, right? I mean, I wish that when I was a kid, I could have tried every sport and figured out what I was good at. Who knows? I might be a pro athlete of some kind, and I don't even know because I grew up poverty stricken, like most normal people who grow up like with parents who have jobs, like real jobs, not magic space jobs, like Jack Black's mom. It's crazy, dude. I'm checking back in with chat, and you guys are tearing it up tonight. David says, I feel like all movies fail now, but they don't care as long as their gross messages get out there. More important than making money. Yeah, isn't that crazy? How ever since they started the whole woke agenda in Hollywood and TV and video games and everything, they've done nothing but hemorrhage money as the public rates them super low and doesn't go to see their shit. And that's the same with this movie here, right? Like, I highly doubt very many people will go see it. They tried to do this with this Harry Potter game that came out, and it was like, they tried to salvage it, and the people were like, no, we're going to buy it, and we're going to prove you wrong, and it was just junk, and it failed. And it's like many other things. There's like instances like this that happen where people like try to keep their garbage rolling, but it's not liked by people. You can't force people into this. Nobody cares about Jack Black. He's like a washed up weirdo. I remember when they had him run the Kids' Choice Awards for like 2 decades. And then it was finally like, okay, we got to get somebody else to do this because this guy's like a weird bearded creep and everybody knows it. And he's constantly talking about weird sex stuff and Satan. It's like, if you really break it down, he's not a good guy. And don't get me wrong, I really like that movie Shallow Hal. If you guys haven't seen that, that's probably Jack Black's best movie, if you ask me. And it's because it speaks to like beauty being more than skin deep. And it's actually a really good message, but there's some weird elements to it, but still, like, movies just don't have plots like that anymore, like where there's like somebody learns something, somebody grows, somebody changes. We like to see people grow and learn and change and get better. Shallow Hal's that kind of movie, so it's a good movie. But Jack Black has consistently been nothing but crass and foul and apparently just a total Satanist. It wasn't even a joke. Like, we used to think when I was younger, we called it hot topic Satanism, where it's like you go to the mall and you hang out with the mall rats and you go like this and you go, hail Satan and stuff, and people think they're so cool and so funny, but it's fake. It's like a joke. It's a role play for them. But people like Jack Black and other people in Hollywood, they're like real Satanists. And the crazy thing about these Satanists, I say this a lot, it's like the people who worship Satan in this world are on average far more devout than the Christians in this world. Lots of people are doing hot topic Christianity, churchianity, where it's like for fun. And obviously I know there's a lot of you who really mean it. So obviously I'm not talking about you. But when it comes to this kind of thing, I mean, there's this whole priesthood. And people like Jack Black get to be, the chosen priesthood of, the chosen representatives of this creepy satanic priesthood. And they get to suck up all the money in entertainment space. Wendy says, 3 wishes, and Satan tempted Messiah 3 times. And Jack Black just said that child was incorruptible. Oh my goodness, Wendy, you're pointing out absolute fire in the trailer. Yeah, totally. The symbolism is totally there. Absolutely out front and in your face. Great observation, Wendy. Sandra Moore, all the entertainers are related to other entertainers. Yep, seems like it's just a big nepotism fest. And some of the people that you like, I was kind of a Nick Cage fan for a long time because I just thought, he's not good, but it's funny. Like, he's in a movie called Con Air. I can imagine why I like that movie. Because everything to do with con, No, but really, I think it's pretty cool. He's like a tough, macho guy. Somebody tries to screw with his wife or whatever, and he beats him to death by accident or whatever because his hands are lethal weapons. And then he goes to prison. And then the convicts hijack the plane. It's an absolutely over-the-top, ridiculous movie, but it's totally one of my favorites. But right, like, you think Nick Cage is a good actor, well, maybe not, but you might like him, right? And then you find out that he's just the son of Francis Ford Coppola, who's like a famous director and producer in Hollywood. So it's like, these people are all plugged in. And no, I get it, right? Like, my boss at work, he's the manager of the soccer arena, and it's like, well, his parents built the soccer arena like 20 something years ago, so now he's the boss there. And it's like, yeah, but look at the scale of it. Some bum town soccer arena that no one else knows about unless they live here. It's not like a place people travel to come, play ball. It's just that's a local place. So, that's a realistic example. Like, oh, you inherited your family's business. That's normal. Jack Black is like, why isn't he working for NASA then? Or for the military like his brother? No, he's out here to fucking do mind games on everybody with his weird guitar and stuff. He's literally like a weird, what do they call him? He's like Pied Piper. He's like a satanic Pied Piper. That's what he is. Wendy says, there's so much I can break down just in that trailer. I hope that you will continue to share your thoughts with us, Wendy. There obviously is a lot there to unpack, and I think that your ability to identify is great. For me, I'm just overwhelmed by the audacity of it. I shouldn't be surprised they'd go this far after the whole, like, vaccinate thing, and I don't mean, like, to question the authenticity of said thing. I just mean, like, the propaganda. Like, check it out. I'm going to show you guys something. This happened in Portland. This was right near my house. So when I say that, I mean, this was like, we're talking about not even that far, 15 miles or something. I have it in my MC feeds. Bear with me just one sec. I can't lie. I am... No. Not you, brother. Check it out. Oh, it's perfect. It's right here. Oh, that's not it. How did I do this? It's just a bunch of random videos that are not. It's acting weird. Sorry about that, guys. It doesn't want me to show you this hilarious video.
Vaccinate, make an appointment. Vaccinate, make an appointment. Vaccinate, gets rid of COVID. Vaccinate, gets rid of COVID. Shut the arm, doesn't hurt at all. Gotta make time to go.
Gotta make time to go.
Take back the world. Line up the sides, 6 feet apart, and don't you worry. Don't stay at home, please wear your mask, we got to hurry. Vaccinate, make an appointment. Vaccinate, make an appointment. Vaccinate, gets rid of COVID. Vaccinate, gets rid of COVID. Vaccinate.
So how did that make you feel, chat? Did that did that convince you? This is to me the equivalent. It's like, all right, dear Santa. Oh my God. I probably shouldn't have said the V word, but we're talking about, I make no statements about those things. I have nothing to say about that. Siegel has them Nigel Thornberry Nashers. Dude, I love that you bring up Nigel Thornberry, David. He's like one of my favorite characters. I saw a post the other day on X and people were talking about, it's Tim Curry, isn't it? That's his name. And they were talking about all their favorite characters for him, that transsexual Transylvanian from the Rocky Horror Picture Show that for some reason, why does everyone like that movie? Have you ever seen that movie? That's so weird. And that was from like the late 80s? What is wrong with this country, man? Anyway, it was like, what's your favorite role with Tim Curry? And I was like, I just posted a picture of Nigel because like it's totally slept on. Nigel Thornberry's an amazing animated character. It's probably one of my favorites. Like if I had to get an animated character tattooed on me, he'd probably be up in the ranks for sure. Holy crap, I'm so far behind on chat right now. My gosh. You guys are tearing it up tonight. What's up, everybody? If you're just now getting in, welcome in to the Main Character Podcast Level 20. It's good to see you guys. Thank you all for coming tonight. A little bit crazy right off the bat. Looks like Jay is here. What's up, Jay? Welcome in, my man. He's like, even 20 years ago, that would have been shocking and awful about the probably that music video and the trailer for this upcoming Jack Black film. Both of which are just shocking. I always like to think about, like, imagine telling yourself or someone you know closely, like it's 2010. You tell them, Obama will get reelected in 2012. He'll serve out his years. But then when 2016 comes, everything you ever knew about what was normal will begin to be destroyed before your very eyes. First of all, Donald Trump, remember that guy? He'll be president. But then he won't be president because Joe Biden, you guys know Joe Biden, but not the Joe Biden that you know right now in 2010. A kind of different, kind of weird looking, kind of like rubbery looking Joe Biden. And then, he somehow beats Trump and gets 81 million votes. Like almost 20 million more than Barack. I mean, who knew that when Barack was president, he was sitting on a secret, like, treasure that was Joe Biden? Well, we already know how that worked out. And after 4 years of Joe Biden, the economy is abysmal, probably all part of the plan. And then it's like, well, I'll follow the rule of law. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message. But then when it came time for, obviously you guys heard that he pardoned Hunter Biden for, like, a blanket pardon for the last 10 years of crime. Whatever he did, he's pardoned for it, Weird. It's funny, you know, I'm sure you guys saw the meme going around, but it was the community note on X was hilarious because they were like, Joe Biden was like, no one's above the law. And then the community note clearly said, actually, based on the fact that Joe Biden used the executive office to pardon Hunter Biden for crimes of which he was convicted, he actually worked a way that they were actually both above the law. The law didn't apply. So that is pretty funny, man. That is super weird. Oh, man. Rings of Power was the biggest insult for me, says New David. Woke trash. Yeah, Rings of Power, I didn't watch it, but, you know, Lord of the Rings was one of those things that I didn't get a chance to get into it before it got devastated. When I was younger, it was kind of like I was thinking different things and doing different things. I've seen the movies. I might watch them again now with a new mind, considering what I know about, you know, Middle-earth and, like, the Sturgios maps and stuff. If you guys haven't seen that, I highly recommend checking it out. There is a video on Vibes of Cosmos Place, his YouTube, and he has a video about the map of Middle-earth, and it exists in that outer continent, you know, out here, actually, somewhere in that outer part of the map. But anyway, yeah, this is a really crazy concept to think. And you know, I was talking to my brother about it, and he said that he had done a little research into the topic a while ago, and that apparently Tolkien says that he had access to some documents and images in some library somewhere. You know, obviously a government archive. And so most of the stories of Lord of the Rings are like based on true stories, but not necessarily the people or the characters of the times, but like the places and the sort of overarching events are supposedly based on a true story. I don't know if that's true. I can't tell you what to believe, but obviously there is a place out there that matches terrestrially with the map of Middle-earth, and that's fucking weird. Like, how did that even happen? Jay says, have you read Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon? The story about the Laurel Canyon rock scene. I have not. I have not even heard of that. Very curious to know what that is. Cage Rider says, does it address Charles Manson? Wendy says, he's a wizard. Oh, Nick Cage, yeah. There's so much going on. You guys are crazy. So much to do. So much to say. Wow, dude. Tim Curry played Satan in the animated Bible series, says Mama. Dang, I didn't know that. What animated Bible series? I want to watch that. With Tim Curry as Satan? He would play Satan. That's hilarious. David says, I've watched Lord of the Rings and read the books an embarrassing amount of times. Well, as far as I know, it's considered to be some of the best high fantasy possible, and then based on what we've seen, it's possible that there's even some truth to those stories. Kind of makes me want to go through watching the movies and reading those books again, if I ever have the time. My gosh, I feel like I can never keep up. We got videos dropping left and right, you know? Also, I wanted to take a second while we're here to just say congratulations to Paul on his expanding family. God bless them and their whole situation. May all that go wonderfully for them. I mean, I know that Paul is going to be busy. It's actually, that takes me to the next thing I want to talk about. So again, congratulations to Paul. God bless him and his family. I know he's going to be a little bit busy the next couple of weeks being a new dad and everything. He was talking about that. He said he had some videos scheduled, and you know, he and I had gently discussed the idea of potentially reviewing the Old World Order movie, which, if you guys don't know, that's the new Michelle Gibson. There's actually quite a few people involved in this. It's Stu Peters, Sean Hibbler. I mean, here we go. We got Dr. Narco Longo, My Lunch Break, Marvelous Old World. I mean, the list goes on and on here. Even BJ Penn, which is crazy. And I did watch this whole thing in its entirety. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to start from the top and give kind of my review of this thing, because I know that Paul and I are probably not going to get a chance to do like a breakdown on this. You know, I know he's busy, and I think this will give me a chance to just kind of say my piece about it, and then we can let it go. So first things first, I've been watching Michelle Gibson for years. I actually am a pretty big fan of her work, and the same goes for many of these other people. I like My Lunch Break a lot. He's good. Liedke's good as well. These people they're pretty big truthers. I mean, a lot of these people have put a lot of time and effort into looking up, you know, old world stuff. So the first thing I want to say is that they are at the very least committed to their search for truth, okay? At least that. Now, the thing is, I watched this movie, and it is 1 hour and 30 minutes about the old world, and all of you guys have probably spent way more time than that. If anything, I would recommend everyone watches The Lost History of Flat Earth by Iwar Anand. That is like, I think, if you're going to be like, what is old world? What is Tartaria? What is mud floods? If you want to know all that, is the best, fully encompassing. You can't do it in an hour and a half, and even that 5-6 hours of Iwar, not enough. But just if we're trying to break open the surface of this thing, it's going to take more than an hour and a half. I know what they're trying to do. So the first thing I will say about it as an entire piece is that we should be grateful that this is starting to become a more mainstream subject. You know, obviously, Tartaria, Millennial Kingdom, Little Season, that is very much a Christian conspiracy cult thing. Like, we're at the point where, like, normal atheists and type agnostic people, they have no even bearing to begin to register all this. If they start looking at old world, they're trying to figure out how giants built it. They're trying to figure out how it was advanced tech. And I totally understand that approach, but like just trying to look at it materialistically, you will not be able to know the truth about what's going on here. You must have the revelation of the Holy Spirit to be able to get this whole thing. But what these people are doing here is they're showing us that not only is the subject beginning to break into the mainstream, where you've got people like BJ Penn, who's like, what, a UFC fighter? Isn't that who that is? Yeah. So we've got guys who like beat people up for a living talking about old world. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty big. It's pretty important that that's happening. Okay, so people can start to figure out what the heck is really going on here. But it's, you know, it's basically just a surface level. I hate to try and reduce it to that, but here's the problem with this stuff. I can't speak to any one of these people individually, and I'm not trying to dog on any of them. Like I said, they're all huge contributors to Truther Movement, and they put a lot of time and energy into this quest to figure out, you know, what's really going on here. Who are we? All that good stuff. The same questions I want to know the answers to, right? But the issue is that with this documentary and with these folks, they seem to be doing what I'm afraid they would do, which is to do everything they can to avoid the centerpiece of the whole thing. Which, like, what is the big picture? The big picture is painted on the ceiling of all of the cathedrals. That's what I'm getting at. This group, you know, they love to talk about, and this is how I'll put it. You would never see me agreeing to be on a documentary about this stuff if the main subject was not that this is Christ's millennial kingdom. This is Jesus's work. I don't want people trying to give credit to giants or some kind of some sort of, well, it's a Quetzalcoatl people. I don't know. I don't care. All I'm saying is that not once is the name of Jesus entered into this documentary. Not once. And if you were any one of these people and you were trying to be intellectually honest, you would have no choice but to admit that Jesus Christ is an absolutely central figure to this entire field of research. The fact that he's not mentioned one time in this documentary tells me that all of these people were either like, well, it's intellectually dishonest, right? Because you have these people who, for whatever reason or another, they were molested in church and so they hate God. And I don't know what your problem is. Like, I don't know why you have to blame God for whatever bad thing that happened to you. But the point I'm trying to make, and I'm sick of that, honestly. I'm like sick of people acting like, well, the church, yeah. And it's like, stop, shut up. I don't want to hear that shit anymore. Shut up. Anyway, so the point is that these people, they failed to do the one thing that they should have done, which was to show that they were being intellectually honest. When secular people watch this, they're going to say, whatever, I don't care about any of this stuff because there's nothing pivotal to it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there was a lost thing. It's like, maybe. The reason this is so pivotal is because it is proof that the Bible is real. That's the reason it's such a big deal. I don't understand why people are missing that point. If there's an impossible millennial kingdom building thing, which it is, like, no one's building this with carts on mud roads. We already know that. So who's building it? The advanced kingdom. Whose advanced kingdom? The one that Jesus Christ said would come to the generation in which he spoke. That's what this is. And no, we don't know the details, how long it took, where it happened, how it happened, whatever. The point is that we live in the ruins of Jesus Christ's work, his advanced kingdom. And if you miss that, it's nothing. It's dumb. It's like the same reason why Ewar recanted in the end, he said. It just seems like it's some sort of way to warm people up to this liberal utopia fantasy so that as they bring us into this, one world government, one world order, we will all reminisce on this old world kingdom and they'll try to sell it back to us. Maybe that's true, but that's not what it is. They can try to manipulate it all they want. Look at what they've done. They've already erased all of our history. They've completely rewritten who we are. But if this is real, right? If this really is the millennial reign of Christ, how can we have this whole hour and a half and not a single person points to the fact that, what was one thing that tied all this together was that it was eerily similar to the way this kingdom was described as manifesting on the earth. It's crazy. So I'm not trying to spend a huge amount of time breaking it down. There was a couple of things that really impacted me that I think were really good and well done. There's a section here, actually, where I've paused it. I'm not going to play it because it's just so terrible. But there's this obvious, the world used to be full of airships. You guys know it. And it was part of the infrastructure of the old world. And for whatever reason, they couldn't allow it to go anymore. They needed people on airplanes. They needed fossil fuels. They needed, reasons to control us. And so they did away with the airships, and one of the ways they did that was by blowing up that Hindenburg and killing hundreds of people. And it was recorded on video, and it was broadcast on the radio. And of course, this is the early 1900s. It's a very, video is just barely even existing, and here we are already recording horrors on it and distributing it to the world. But the point is that I listened to this section. It's a few minutes long, and I'd never heard it before. It's the radio broadcaster reporting what he saw as that airship blew up and burned everybody and then crashed to the ground and killed everybody. And, there's no way he was an actor. I could tell you that. Like the genuine horror and shock and fear and dismay and sadness on that man. I really empathized. I could feel the sickness of that man's horror because, looking back at the old world, you guys know it was such a simple time. Everything was peaceful. I mean, yeah, we had war, but there was such a separation. The civil people walked around in suits and hat tipped to each other, and people smiled and said good morning and read newspapers, and it was just such a simpler time. Nothing like the horror of the world we have today with the way people treat each other and the way people act. People were much more concerned about the well-being of each other, and then to see hundreds of people burst into flames like that was just so horrible for that man. He couldn't even find words, and it's his job to talk and to tell you what's happening. So he has to just keep reporting, I can't even tell you, it's just so terrible. And I just was like, man, that is so dark. And it reminds me just like the feeling when we were kids and it's people jumping out the windows of the World Trade Center. It's the same kind of thing. It's like a collective, like a trauma on humanity for a purpose, an intentional trauma on humanity for a purpose. And for me, obviously, I understand it was to do away with the airships. And I think if there's anything to take away from this entire documentary, it's the airships portion was really well done. And they did a good job of erasing those from our people. Popping back into chat here. David says, it seems unbelievable without Christ. Wendy says, controlled op gonna control. No, I'm not calling anyone a shill, for the record, she says. Well, I don't think that we could say that any of these people are shills, but I think that you're right, Wendy. It's one of those things where I'm only interested in bold people willing to put their life out here on the line. Like that. When it comes to this stuff, you can only be real. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with having to recant. I'm okay with being listen to my rap song from a few years ago where I drink 40s and say the F word and I'm just still not good, but I'm trying. We're learning and we're growing. You got to own your mistakes. You got to own what's there, even if you don't like it. And for all these people, they don't like God. They don't like Jesus. And for whatever reason, whatever personal reason they've concocted in their mind, they have created a dissonance that goes beyond the pale. For any of these people, including Michelle Gibson, I'm personally mad at her because she's like, I'm Michelle Gibson. I'm so well researched. And it's then whose face is on all the fucking artwork, Michelle? Who? Anyway. Sorry, I just get to the point where I'm tired of people acting like they're truthers and they're not. You want your stupid New Age worldview. You want your stupid atheistic, well, it was actually an advanced civilization of giants, the giants peoples. I don't give a shit if they were 10 feet tall or 100 feet tall. It has nothing to do with that. And everything to do with the man who ordered the change in the world. Because you know what the world looks like under the rulership of Satan? It's human sacrifice, it's slavery on a hamster wheel, it's misery. And you can tell by looking today, there's a juxtaposition there that you can't fake. It's a contrast that you have to be awake to see. And people who don't know the Lord are foolishly fumbling around in the dark thinking they've got it figured out. So to each and every one of the people who made this video, if you ever hear what I have to say, you personally, I can't say anything against any of you individually. But I can say that I hold myself to a much higher standard. I would not have been on a documentary that avoids the obvious truth, which is that this advanced civilization was advanced because they had a very advanced leader, the Son of God. Anyway, with that being said, guys, I'm just gonna let this slide. If you want to check it out, I'll go ahead and put the link down here in the chat for you guys. I know you can find it on the channel at any moment, but in case you need a shortcut, I've thrown it into the chat. And, give them a like. I'll do it. I'll put a like on it. The fact of the matter is, the more this information proliferates, the better we have of an opportunity to filter our way through it. Because, there was a period of time back in the earlier 2000s, you guys probably remember, when the Flat Earth Society came to fruition. Oh, we got cops rolling by. Anyway, the Flat Earth Society was one of those things where, like what Wendy would call controlled opposition, it's a perfect word for it. It's crazy. It was one of those things that, like, it was majorly detrimental to the FE movement initially, but it also helped a lot of people because a lot of people didn't even know the idea existed. There were so many people, including myself, really. I had just never even heard that idea. It was completely out of my mind. And that takes me to a conversation that I want to share with you guys that I had. I don't have it printed up here, but I'll just tell you about how it goes. So there was, I was on Facebook. I don't even really use Facebook. I just sometimes open it and scroll it a little bit. And a lot of the stuff it shows me is like space stuff because that's what I've reacted to because, I just can't help it. I see like an Earth picture and I'm like, that's a composite. And then everyone's like mad because they don't want to be told their religion's fake. That's what I've learned. But anyway, I was having a conversation with a guy, and he was like entertaining me. He's like, well, then you can convince me. Give me 2 points for why the Earth is flat. And I was like, dude, that's ridiculous. What kind of a person would expect a debate stage that looks like that? Here's the picture. I'm on one side of the stage with a podium, and I am allowed to verbalize 2 ideas to make my case. And on the other side of the podium is a massive national organization called NASA, which means to beguile, to deceive, and it has $600 billion of funding. It has also had 60 years of time on the debate stage. So they get a 60-hour window to talk with a $700 billion budget. They have movies, they have TV shows, they have textbooks in your school. You went to school for 12 years minimum learning their thing. So for 12 years, everyone listened to that person on the debate stage run their mouth at the cost of $700 billion, and you were a captive fucking audience. But me, I'm just allowed to verbalize 2 ideas that you'll maybe entertain. You see why this isn't working? It's not a fair debate. At any point when anybody's like, let's debate, you can't. You can't debate people because it's not fair. It is categorically unreasonable to debate people who think that the earth is a ball. They're not willing to meet you even close to halfway. Imagine a debate where you're just not allowed to talk and the other guy gets to talk for 60 years and have giant funding and propaganda. It's nonsense, dude. It's not realistic, and anybody who thinks they're going to debate you who isn't actually interested, they'll figure it out. Everyone who wants to know the truth knows it because it's right there. It's obvious. I was watching this discussion with, I think it was JT and Paul were talking with Brian and trying to convince Brian that the earth was flat. And like, I have nothing against Brian at all. He's actually pretty funny. I've been watching his show a lot and I actually think he's kind of funny. And everybody's different. Everyone has their own take on things. I'm not going to shit on the guy at all for not believing in the flat earth. It's not really like, if you just say the earth is flat, everyone thinks it's like an asteroid with a surface on it, like floating. It's too much. You can't articulate that. But a biblical cosmology, I mean, there's stuff like he's seated above the circle of the earth, and it talks about how it's like firm and unmoving like 50 times. And, it's just, I'm no longer the kind of person who tries to make the Bible make sense in this worldview. I got to make this world make sense in my Bible because like the Bible is the real thing. I don't care about like, but the translations, like Jesus Christ is the Son of God. That's what matters. Like he will reveal all things to those who seek. So I wouldn't even be like worried about it if there's like different canons and stuff. It's like my favorite thing JT says is like, if you want to get to Jesus, he is in the book. no matter which one you have. Although there are varying translations that really do suck. The point is, focus on the good stuff first, right? Seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and everything else shall be added unto thee. That's what he says. So, Virgjun says, I got a suspicious feeling when I saw the Hibbler Productions logo at the beginning of the Old World documentary. It's that black sun symbol, and I get evil secret society vibes from it. You know, it's funny you say that too, because obviously, as you guys know, Stu Peters is behind the production, and Stu Peters is like I'm not trying to label anybody. Again, I entertained myself with this stuff. I enjoyed watching that. I enjoyed the documentary. It was entertaining. It didn't inform me anything I didn't already know, and I could see the blatant, like, sidestepping Jesus all the time, and I'm just like, you guys, stop mentioning giants and stuff. Focus on, like, what the artwork has. Like, they're like, oh, that's so crazy, the similarity between this building and that one. Yeah, isn't it funny how Jesus is painted on the ceiling of that one and that other one? I know I'm going back to what I wasn't going to talk about anymore, but it's just like, holy shit. It's so crazy. But yes, I think that it becomes difficult to trust people like... It's difficult to trust people like Stu Peters because of their involvement with people like Alex Jones and the amount of psychological operations that have happened to the community by Alex Jones. It's insurmountable. And I defended Alex Jones probably up until like 2018. I was convinced that he was actually on our side fighting. I believed that for the longest time. And then when it came down to the Captain Hook thing, I'm just going to call it Captain Hook because it kind of has to do with the ocean, which is near the beach, which is sandy. And anyway, you know, as you guys know, Alex Jones's career was destroyed because he questioned the validity of the Captain Hook story. And what ended up happening was I don't know how far his research went, but I researched it myself during the era. He was totally right. He was right that Captain Hook's story was bullshit. But they had him publish it and then crucified him so that you wouldn't question it. You see, the idea is if they can destroy somebody with hundreds of millions of dollars, think about what they can do to you. Shut up and stop running your mouth. It doesn't matter that someone hacked into the NFL database and saw that the supposedly dead crew members of Captain Hook's ship were performing at the halftime show, and the person who hacked it went to prison for like 30 years for a process crime. A low-tier crime should have gotten like fucking 6 years in jail at most. They basically put the guy in jail for life because what he did was hack into the NFL and prove that those supposedly dead crewbies on Captain Hook's vessel were killed during the mass musket shooting back in whatever year it was. The point I'm trying to make is that Alex Jones has operated as a massive, total controlled op shill. And Stu Peters is like his butt buddy. Stu Peters is like his underling. Stu Peters only exists because Alex Jones brought him out. So it's just one of those things. It's like, you can't trust these people because what they'd like to do is convince everybody, just like Ewar said, that there was some lost history and that the evil, corrupt oligarchy stole it from us so that then Donald Trump and Elon Musk can rescue us and bring us back our true history and and then we can explore space together. Like, it's just, you know, take what's really happening, contort it and manipulate it. Whose artist signature is that? Clearly Satan. I'm not at all surprised. Oh boy. Brian doesn't want to let his ball go, says David. That's true. You see, the thing is, I've got a ball. Like, my worldview has a ball. It's just you're inside it. And I'm not talking about Hollow Earth. I'm talking about, you know, think about how the Bible describes it. There's like this infinite sea, the Spirit of the Lord hovering over the face of the deep. And then he creates a firmament, which would separate the waters above from the waters below. So you have this thing, and he creates the bubble. Whoop! Waters above it, waters below it. Boom! We know the shape of a bubble is naturally occurring in the realm. It's the shape of surface tension, like suspended. If you made an air bubble underwater, it would be perfectly round. Aside from the fact that it obviously has a buoyancy density and it wants to like float up out of the water and pop. But if you could like suspend a bubble in time, it's perfectly round in the water. And you can see that with oil and other substances that allows a bubble to be in it. So anyway, inside that bubble, right, we've talked about this before, inside the bubble is the terrestrial plane, which is flat. However, because of the way it's laid out, as evidenced by the moon map, which is literally you cannot argue with a picture of the moon that is the Earth. There's little more to be said about it. And we'll talk about more of that ice wall stuff another time, because I really just, I don't know if I even believe that thing. I don't even think there is an ice wall. It just sounds like another psyop to me. I'm just saying, okay? We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but it's round. It's a ball, and it's round, and it's flat. You see what I mean? It's, how can you confuse people more than that? Everyone's arguing about whether it's round or flat. It's both. That's why no one can ever get to the bottom of it. No one is rarely ever presented with a true cosmology image that they can use to work with. Everybody says, well, what does it look like? Well, it's flat, but then it has edges that curve up along the, and it's like, where are you getting that? Like the actual old Hebrew cosmology, the Bible itself says that he stretcheth out the heavens as though it were a tent. A tent. Tents are not spheres. It's like there's a dome, you know. We talk about the dome all the time. It's just, obviously there's like an underworld and there's like a subterranean hollow earth. See what I mean? You can't get away from it. Every one of these conspiracy theorists is kind of right. That's why we have such a hard time getting a consensus, because everyone's like, no, it's my version where giants built the old world. Okay. Jay says, Virk John, that is a black sun symbol plus Jesuit symbol. I never looked at it until you mentioned it. Are you guys talking about the Sean Hibbler? I don't know if I spelled his name right. Oh, yeah. There we go. Check it out. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, it's this logo right here. You know, it makes you wonder, like, what would be the reason? Like, at the end of the day, I'm not the first guy to be able to go after anybody for their logo, because my logo is literally like, I guess, a chimera. It's probably satanic, and I didn't even realize it. But it was like, oh, Tartaria, oh, they've got a griffin. That's a cool flag nobody's using. So I was like, oh, I'll make a cute little griffin for my logo. And who knows, maybe griffins are like some kind of divine creature that maybe did or didn't exist or something. I'm worried it's a satanic chimera. But the point is, everyone's going to look at my channel and be like, that con man guy, he's totally a shill. His dad is David Spade. His uncle is Billy Bob Thornton. You know, what are you going to do? You get to the bottom of it, you find out, oh, this guy's a faker. Look at him. Caught. I'm not wearing the right kind of coat, but imagine I had a coat and my hand was like tucked in it. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? It's hard. It's hard because it's like, can we judge people? Like, I don't want to judge somebody by their logo, but then you look at the fruit, like, how long are you going to be like, I'm a truther? Yeah. What about Jesus, though? Like, it just gets to the point where I get mad because it's like, guys, come on. I'm not trying to confirm my bias. Like, I was a conspiracy theorist before I was a Christian. Let's just be honest. Like, yeah, I was raised a Christian, but that doesn't count. That's like, I didn't even know anything. Then I was like into, oh, the government lies to me and everything. And then I realized how big the whole can of worms is. It was kind of like off the heels of Miles Monroe's kingdom teaching, where I came to understand what the kingdom was. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's like not a democracy. It's like a guy in charge of you, but a good guy in charge of you. That makes sense. And then I saw all this evidence, and of course it was obvious, oh, well, that's the kingdom he was talking about. You know, I dream of the idea all the time. I imagine it. It's a fantasy. It's not real. But I wish that I could meet Miles Monroe in real life. And after everything he taught about the kingdom and everything, be able to show him this stuff and be like, dude, it's real. Remember when Christ said, this generation shall not pass? And he's not doctrine-minded. He would have just read it and been like, wait a minute, you mean it was him? Yes, and the time, and look at these buildings, look at all this stuff. History's a lie, right? Who do you trust, Jesus or history? And he would be like, well, I trust Jesus. It'd be so easy. For him having already had the kingdom revelation, for him to then seen all this evidence, it would have changed his life. He passed away in 2014, but he is in a better place. No doubt in my mind. I sometimes think about it. I get a little emotional thinking about all the heroes, you know, all of the people who, for whatever reason, it didn't matter if they knew everything. It doesn't matter if you know all the secrets of the universe. That's irrelevant. But like people who really love Jesus, they gave their lives in service to him, whether small or big contribution. It didn't matter about the number. It was about the heart, right? And Jesus knows. And I think about all those saints and heroes that are in the final thing, and it's like, man, I don't even add up close to those guys, but they're up there cheering us on. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to remember, like, these people, once time surrenders and expires, we're all together with God, there's going to be this sort of like unity thing. And so it's like, they're already there in the sense. Everyone's already arrived and are wishing us to do well. And it's an amazing thing. I look at these heroes that have passed and I think, man, I wish I could be half the men that they were. And they're up there looking at you and at me and thinking, go, keep going. You're going to go far, kid. That's what they're saying. So, David says, flat earth brought me to the Bible. It's an incredible thing how it all ties into the scripture. That's, I think, the thing that makes it so obvious that they're covering it all up, right? Who would go to such lengths? I watched a video from about a month ago, and it was Brian from Demon Erasers, and he was talking about Barack Obama's birth certificate. And it's amazing to me to watch videos like this, not because there's anything wrong with being where you are, but, you know, for somebody like Brian and for others, they're so advanced. A lot of you guys are so advanced. Like, and it depends on the time, but what I'm getting at is that, like, a lot of people woke up in 2020. They had never really looked into conspiracies before. So many people have only had like 3-4 years to really start digging, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's just that the conspiracy theory world is so advanced now that we're talking about the shape of the earth and the old world and the little season, and we're talking about really advanced conspiracy theories. And it's like, dude, Barack Obama's birth certificate was like small. That's like the kind of thing that begins a conspiracy theory quest for people when they realize that the government would lie right in front of your face about something so blatant like that. Like, that could be one of those things that probably gets the channel struck or whatever for saying stuff like that. But I'm not trying to say what it is. I'm just saying that when you look into a conspiracy like the authenticity of that birth certificate, and you do so objectively, you will find, just like Brian found, that the evidence is just right in front of your face. They don't even bother to hide it. And I think that's the point. It's a ritual. It's consent. If they say to you, oh, there's a giant controversy about whether or not Barack Obama's birth certificate is real, and you don't look into it, and you don't do anything to figure out that the government's own PDF arrives as a double, like an overlay, and you can see the real document and the fake document overlaid, and they come separate. That's why I thought Brian's video was so compelling, because it's like, I never even saw it like that. I saw it back in the day when it was like Sheriff Joe Arpaio, and they had document specialists talking about the legitimacy, and it was just totally bunk. Nowadays, you go to the website and you can just download it, and they're like, here it is, fake, and you can edit it. He was changing his name. He was like, Obama, like changing his name to random stuff, and it just looked authentic because that's what it is. It's bullshit. And if you don't look at it, you consented to it. You said, well, I'll take your word for it. That's how these people work. It doesn't make it right, but this is like universal law, okay? This is why they put all their shit out in the open. Yes, they're proud of what they do, but at the same time, what's done in the dark will be exposed. Be sure your sins will find you out, right? If you know for a fact that what you're doing will one day be brought to light, just bring it to light right away. Then you don't have to worry about getting exposed, and if people don't listen, that's on them. So when they put out all this junk about Barack Obama, oh, he can be president because of the authenticity of it, you've got to remember how many lies are in place here. First of all, it doesn't matter. They just select whoever they want. There are no real rules. That's all an illusion anyway. But then when they put out a fake birth certificate and you don't do anything, you don't educate yourself, and even if you do, what are you going to do? That's what it really comes down to. They don't mind telling you because you can't do anything about it. So who cares if Barack Obama's birth certificate is fake? Who cares if his wife is a man? It doesn't seem to matter. Everyone on the internet knows who Big Mike is. You go on Instagram and you look at, my Bulge Khalifa page is only subscribed to Michelle Obama on Instagram. And every single Michelle Obama video and picture has random people commenting, Big Mike. It's like everybody knows. So what are you going to do, you know? And it's funny because it's like, if I say Big Mike, my channel's probably struck. It's over. Nice knowing you guys. But like Joe Rogan can be like, Big Mike's so masculine. It looks like Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's what we're talking about. Big Mike Tyson. You guys are great. So many people are saying that the Bible and flat earth like hand in hand. You either became more of a Christian because of flat earth, or you became more of a flat earther because of Christianity. That's how I feel about Millennial Kingdom, right? Like, how can you begin Tartaria? I think I spent about a year or so, maybe 2 years, looking into that, and then realizing that's just the cover-up for the cover-up. That's like a bunch of barbarians moved into your vacant house, and now they're calling it Mongolia and Tartaria. It's actually really funny. It's just the way things work, you know. We have to remember that we're still people, and people were people then, and they're people now, and they'll be people tomorrow if they make it to tomorrow. And that's the thing, you know, people, the way they work is very similar. It never really changes. Yes, collectively we get better and worse, and we move to different places and learn different things, but ultimately it's always the same. There was a bunch of empty cities, and these guys were like, oh, sweet, this is my chance. And various groups did this, right? I always joke about how once the kingdom left, once Christ's influence was out of the way, a bunch of giants and Nephilim and stuff just came right out of their caves and moved right into a lot of those cities. I'm certain of it. And so you got stories of Native Americans saying, oh, the cities were populated by giants. I'm like, yeah, because they're squatting, you know? And then there's other things. Like we could imply that maybe there were giants in the old world. Maybe they're good, maybe they're bad. I don't know about that, okay? But there's a lot more evidence for Jesus, for the Bible being real, for his kingdom being real, for it having actually come to pass already, and for us living in this little season. I think, all my life I wanted justification. Why lie about Obama's birth certificate? Why lie about 9/11? Why lie about the Captain Hook musket shooting of 2014 or whatever? Like, why lie about all that stuff? Why orchestrate so much junk for no reason? Oh, it's just for money? You print money. Oh, well, it's for foreign relations. You guys share the space station. There's no reason, except for that they're trying to hide the biggest secret of all time, guys. It's the biggest lie ever. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Jesus Christ is real. Jesus Christ is alive. Jesus Christ is King of the earth, and he built out a crazy kingdom, and everything has gone exactly the way he said it would. That is a big problem for Satan, who knows the time is short, who is promised to go forth and deceive the nations. That's the big problem here. Everything lines up now. I feel bad. I was thinking about it earlier. I should have been more of an archivist. As I was fighting my way through conspiracies over the last 6 or 8 years, I should have been saving everything I found, because then I could have been like, guys, this was my journey. These are the things I found. I found this, and then I found this, and then I found this. And look at how they all connected. And unfortunately, I didn't ever plan to have to share anything. I didn't think it would matter. Maybe I was being selfish. I don't know. I just wanted to know the answer. I didn't expect anybody to care, or for it to ever get anywhere, I never expected to find something so profound as this millennial kingdom thing, little season thing. But then once it all comes together, it all starts to make sense. And now I feel bad. Like, I feel like I could have done more to prepare myself to be someone who talks about it. But I'm at this point in my life where, I'm not really like a real contributor. A lot of these guys put in a lot of work and everything. And I'm just like here to talk shit. That's really what I'm here for. I think that there comes a point where, like, sometimes you just need another perspective. And I hear things happen. I hear people say things, and I think that sometimes an extra point needs to be made, and I just feel like throwing my 2 cents in. That's why I'm here. And I know that I'm not right about everything, of course. I know I don't have all the answers, but it's cool to be able to just talk about it like we're classmates, Like, we're all in here trying to get to the bottom of it. None of us are here with, like, all the answers. That's what I appreciate so much about guys like, Paul or JT or anybody who puts together presentations, because it's a lot more work than I've done. I haven't done anything. I'm just here talking shit. Pearl says, I used to make normies think at my old workplace, like, if we're moving a gajillion miles per hour shooting through space, how come we've seen the same constellations for like thousands of years? It's a great point. There's a lot of really great points too about like the physicality of it. And I think that if you looked at it biblically, like physically evidentiary, and then also like subjectively as a cultural phenomenon, the shape of the earth it can be proven down any of those methods. Like, you can prove it with the Bible and with what the Word of God says. And if your world is first the Bible and then the world fits in that, you're good. You can find that. And then if you look at it like architecturally, evidentiary, like physicality way, like if you look at it materially, totally obvious. Lasers, photography, equations, airplanes, flight paths, weather patterns, ocean currents, every single thing. They're full of shit. Absolutely full of shit. The real world totally works beautifully. It's like a beautiful, harmonious, spiraling, toroidal, perfect system, even in its fallen state. And the world they sell us is like random currents blowing everywhere and fucking oceans fucking... It's not real. It's not real. Theirs doesn't work and God's is perfect. And then so that's physically. And then socially, it's like, why is there so much money and so much effort and stupid Big Bang Theory TV show and a bunch of like Marxists, evolutionists, Darwins, they're all bad guys. They're all from the same family for some reason. And then they all have the same nonsense story that they send all these idiots out to propagate. Like Bill Nye, actor. Neil deGrasse Tyson, not a scientist. And yet these guys are given all these honorary degrees because they don't have a real degree. They have to have an honorary one so they can wave it around and act like that's what makes the difference. Well, I went to an indoctrination camp, therefore I am more intelligent than you and more, better set to make decisions. And it's the same thing. It's like, give me $700 billion and 60 years, and you have to sit there and listen to me for 12 years, 8 hours a day. And then we'll see who believes in what world. You know what I mean? It's just nonsense. There's no point in talking about this. So there's so many people that are like, they're like ballers, ball earth people, and they have this contempt. They don't care about what's true. They just want to be right. It's not worth wasting your time. They have this argument they say where it's like, if you believe that you're too stupid, I'm not even going to dignify. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about people like that. And it says, do not cast your pearls before swine. Kick the dust from your sandals as you leave town. Don't look back. That's what the Bible says about people like that. Don't waste your time. Because somebody like that has no interest in the truth. It's like I said, they really just want to be right. And because the globe is what they know, that's what they'll protect. I think somebody said, if you grew up on a desert island and nobody ever told you, you'd totally perceive the earth as flat because that's what your senses tell you. But that's crazy. That's shit. That's a whole can of worms. I wouldn't even be surprised if we don't get shut down just for that. I saw people doing I saw JT and everyone doing a FE presentation the other day, so I was like, well, if they can, then so can I. Wendy says Joe Arpaio is no joke. Yeah, about the presentation of Barry Sotero's birth certificate. Jojo says, I can only say this. My whole life, everything felt wrong, even though it was all I knew of life since I woke up. I've become more confident and more at ease in my own skin and being. That's good, my friend. Amen. That's another thing I think is coming to see the world in kind of a more biblical, I'd say the right worldview has totally changed my perspective on everything that really matters. You look at your life and people fear death, they fear their future, retirement, families, everything they've got to worry about. And it's like, when you realize how real it is, how real God is and how close he is and how serious all this is, it's radical, dude. It's like, I'm not worried about little things. I can't talk small talk anymore. All I can think about is the big picture. It's like I'm trying to have small talk conversations with people at my work and I don't know what to say. I'm like, hey, how are you doing lately? I just spent the last 4 hours researching some crazy shit. I don't know. Dinosaurs aren't real. Did you know? It's like turns into this whole thing. Yeah, did you know that the entire science of paleontology was created by these two opposite scientists who were basically fighting each other for who had the more ridiculous discovery as they continued to fabricate the myth? They both continually got more and more rich and famous until they both just disappeared into obscurity after creating a ridiculous mythos that everybody considers fact. And it's taught in school at your taxpayer budget. It's just crazy, man. Wendy says, we got a lot going on here. Wendy, Elizabeth says, I had a griffin visit me in a lucid dream once. That's incredible. Very interesting. Wendy says she'd love to hear about it. I too would love to hear about a dream like that. Elizabeth says, it's more of a vivid dream. I've never actually had a lucid dream before. And Wendy says, I've become aware in dreams and traveled real time. I'm a believer that is real. Pearl says, I was flying through the air in one of my lucid dreams. Whenever I have dreams that are like, I'm conscious of what's going on, it's always a horrible place. And I don't mean it like because I'm tortured as a soul, which I probably am, but I mean like it's always like, no, dude, there's always problems, and I'm always like trying to solve them. Like I have this one where I'm driving this bus. There's a bunch of people in the bus. It's like a retired school bus. It's kind of a cream white color. It's not yellow. It's not a flat front bus. It has a hood. It's very vivid, I remember. I'm driving up this mountain, and for some reason I'm going there to meet with other people who have vehicles full of people too. And we're landing somewhere that's like private property. We're parking in the woods somewhere in the mountains or something to kind of wait out some kind of disaster. And I have all these vivid memories of driving through towns and like looking. This one memory that's really vivid from the dream. I look over to my left and there's like a red brick garage, and it has one of those, the old style garage doors where it's a solid door, not a articulated one, but like it's a solid door that like flips up. You've seen them. They were really popular in the mid 1900s. They kind of went out of style because it's like a big, hard, flat piece of metal that's just harder to articulate. versus, like I said, the articulating kind. And anyway, I look over to my left and there's this beautiful, like, bright purple with chrome accents. I think it's a Chevy Nova. And the reason I know that is because it's kind of like a Camaro, but it's smaller. It's like a late 60s or early 70s car. And I have this lament, like I look over and I'm like, man, that's so sad. Because the roof is collapsing on the garage and it crushed the top of the car. You can see the front of it sticking out of the garage, but it's kind of like the roof is collapsed down on top of it. And I remember looking at it as I drive by and just feeling this sort of lament, like it represented the overall thing. Every beautiful muscle car is crushed. Every garage is collapsed. The world we're leaving behind is in ruins and we're going somewhere. We're going to go hide on a mountain or something. Weird dreams, dude. And that's the kind of shit that tortures me. I'd rather just not have a dream. I'd rather just like wake up rested and be like, well, that was good. I'm ready to go do what I got to do. You know, today's the day or whatever. Elizabeth said, I had it about 10 years ago, but I remember being in bed and this little griffin climbed through my window above my head. Cage Fighter asks, was it friendly? Cage Fighter and I were talking, Wendy says, about the spirit being active in the dream world, that the spirit really is somewhere else. Pearl says, like astral projection. Ben T says, is anyone else as disappointed in JT Paul's and Brian's nail in the coffin FE fiasco? It's really affecting me. I listened to the show. I thought it was an entertaining show. I just think that what it comes down to is that we are in the middle of like a great division among humanity where it has to do with your personality and the type of person that you are, and no argument can change someone fundamentally. You can't look at somebody and say, but don't you think this? And then they change. You have to change yourself. You have to be changed. You don't be like, oh, I'm gonna force myself to believe something. The point is that like you can have transformative reevaluation of your ideas through the Lord. If you become a real follower of Christ, he can totally change you. But you can't like tell someone else how to think and expect that they will magically reprogram the way their brain works. And I'm not saying anything negative about Brian at all. He makes good points. Because nobody really ever delivers the best nail in the coffin argument, like you said, Ben. Like, you don't really see anybody have the end-all, be-all for the earth being flat. You know what the end-all, be-all for the earth being flat is? When the New Jerusalem shows up and all the enemies of logic, reason, and righteousness get vaporized with holy fire. Then they're all dead and in hell, and then you'll have the flat earth. You know what I mean? It's that simple. Once people are going to have to choose for themselves this day whom they will serve. If you want to believe in Satan's version of the world where it's a ball flying through space, God is not present, Jesus is not close by, the throne is not close, that's what all this is about. It's about making you insignificant. You're not special. You're not the center of the universe. Your life has no meaning. You're just a bug. And then you get old and you die, or you get hit by a bus and you die, and it doesn't matter because your body just turns back into dirt and then some other worm eats you. Like, the satanic version of reality is so cold and shitty. I'm surprised we're not in actual constant warfare. I don't mean like a bunch of orchestrated war. I'm surprised we're not all just plundering each other. Because if the world really was actually as dark as Satan tries to trick us all into being, I would be a maximum villain. I would literally live my life abusing and destroying everything to prosper myself. Because that's how the world works. Why should I care about you? Why should I care about your feelings? Why should I care about your future? You're all just a bunch of bugs to me. I'll just consume you all and make myself rich. You see what that breeds? That's why we live in the world we live in, because all of these monstrous Satanists believe the lie. They believe they're part of some secret bloodline or they're part of some chosen group, and that's all additional to the fact that they believe the world is the hellscape that Satan has created. They believe that the world is some sort of ball flying through space and you're just one of millions and you'll be dead and there'll be another one, and then there's all these other cosmos out here that are probably cooler and bigger and crazier and they have giant Borg cube ships and you're just a dumb little backwater planet, you know? You're not special. You're not divinely created for a purpose. There is no Jesus. We were seeded here by a Promethean alien race from the Galactic Federation, and very soon they'll be back to collect their resources or whatever the fuck they're going to say. It's basically that, dude. It's a brainless, godless, horrible world, and that's how you justify all this, like abortion and medically assisted suicide and stuff, like Paul and I were talking about the other day. You can only have this kind of absence of reason when you have an absolute evil conspirator operating in the position of the high throne of the world, which, not to negate God's sovereignty and the power of Christ and everything, it's just that Satan has been allowed for this time to do all this crazy stuff. That's how he's gone this far. But I will say, Ben, I guess you could say, like, I wasn't impressed, but it's not just, like, nothing against JT or Paul or even Brian. It's just hard to have that conversation. Like, what are we supposed to do? We would have to spend, like, a year getting every card out on the table and presenting it and making a really good argument with every single piece of evidence. Because I didn't become a flat earth. Well, I kind of did become a flat earther overnight. But I watched, like, 12 hours worth of documentaries where each person had separate reasons for why they thought this. About the photography, about the math, about the physics, about the water, about the atmosphere, about the star charts, about the flight patterns. Each one of these is a whole documentary to be able to explain to a regular person that you cannot do certain things they say you can, and that you can do things that are supposed to be impossible. I always just get back to the idea that they say the earth is some 70% water or whatever, some large percent water, and water is always flat. Like you can't have a giant cup full of water where the water is like rolling around a ball, flying through the cosmos. It's all nonsense. And we already talked about how it's 666,000 miles an hour and crap. All the numbers are 666. It's such nonsense. Pearl says, they could have made better points, I agree, but I think they'll be making another one about the Flat Earth cast. Yeah, I think they did a good job, and I think that we're at a point where it's like I said, most people did not wake up until 2020, and I have to try to remember that too, not to be like, look how much I know. I'm just saying that, like, unintentionally, being a conspiracy theorist for years, you've seen a bunch of stuff, and then you forget that other people may not have seen it, so, and that's the value of archiving. That's what I'm saying. That's where I've done a great disservice to you guys and myself, because I just never thought anyone would need to know this. I just kind of was like, I just wanted to know. I really didn't realize how big the rabbit hole was when I first started digging. I was just like, what do you mean the moon landing? What? Oh, the boot print? Yeah, that's not the same footprint. Well, how did the camera get there before the lander? How did that rover fit inside that thing? That thing's made of cardboard. Like, I just started having more and more problems, you know? I didn't expect it to turn out to be like, oh, the whole world's a lie. Here, take the Christ pill and never see the earth normally again. Or the same way again, I guess. David said, Brian just needs to drop the emotional attachment. He looked silly. Well, I mean, I understand, like, it's tough to be the guy that has people dogpiling on you. It's so crazy, but it's just the truth. Like, when you're the flat earth guy, everybody else is dogpiling you. And then when you're the globe guy in the flat earth circle, everyone is dogpiling. And it's the way it is because, you know, two guys with experience are trying to help Brian see the truth. And for Brian, he needs to be convinced. He doesn't want to just have people tell him things. He wants to see proof. And, you know, he's probably spent a lot of time looking into it. And it's like I said, $700 billion, 60 years of propaganda, every single science fiction book, movie, TV show, and everything else. Everything supports their version. So for Brian, it's like, yeah, he's just trying to make sure that he doesn't start believing some nonsense and look like an idiot. And I bet you it's not even about looking like an idiot. It's about he doesn't want to be wrong about something massive like this. And so I have some great... I respect, you know. I totally understand where he's coming from. It's hard to be convinced of things. If you want to know one that'll bother you, go look up on the internet and try to find conspiracies about the real truth of World War II and about New Schwabenland and stuff. Go look up stuff like that and see how much dissonance it gives you, because you start to wonder, it's like, dude, maybe that guy knew something about Tartaria. You know, that's the thing that a lot of people scoop right over when nobody wants to talk about H-Man, and I know it's not a popular subject, but like there was this whole theory that the H-Man was innocent of accused crimes, and there's a whole conversation to be had that I can't have on YouTube about that at all. But let's just say you were digging into stuff like that and you were like, oh, I don't know, this stuff doesn't seem to add up. But then you start looking at all this occult research and all this traveling to Ultima Thule and all this, and you're like wondering what all this stuff is, and it's like, yeah, maybe they're Satanists, maybe they're occult, maybe they're bad guys, maybe they're trying to build a super weapon, or maybe they were a group of people that were very smart. The country that they claim was the origin for Zeppelins, for airships, the country responsible for Glock firearms, the country responsible for diesel engines. Germany has figured everything out. Germany has consistently, the German people, who whichever tribe of Israel they are the brains of the whole dang group, okay? And they've figured things out that nobody else could figure out time and time again throughout histories. We can't deny it. Everything amazing was invented by Germans. It's just a fact. And then they figure out some stuff about the North Pole and about Thule and about all this black sun shit. And we think, oh, they're evil. They must be evil because they told us he's evil. Maybe. Or maybe they discovered this whole thing that we're talking about now 80 years ago. They might have figured this out and said, what is this? Because if you look at the policies of 39 Germany, it's like what should be happening here. It's let's get rid of all these pedophile books. Let's get rid of all these usurious traders. Let's end ritualistic animal murder. Like it's the policies are progressive. If you have a kid and you're a national citizen, you live here, we will pay off a quarter of your house's mortgage. If you have 4 kids, we will pay off your entire house's mortgage. That sounds like Germany first. And I'm not telling you guys what to think here. I'm just saying that you can run into a lot of dissonance because everything we've been taught about that war for the last 80 years, more than the space ball. I mean, they didn't even start trying to imply that we could go anywhere until like the 60s in this country. The late 50s, they were like, oh, Roswell, aliens, space, la la la. None of that was even talked about. But back in the 40s, they were like, dude, the Thule Society, the secret, like he's trying to find the Ark of the Covenant. It's the plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark. What did they know? And why did the whole world decide to blow them up? Is it just simply because they hated one group of people and put them in camps? Maybe. But I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice by believing that. If we're conspiracy theorists, we got to be willing to look at everything. We got to be willing to press our own limits and then say, maybe I was wrong, or nah, that ain't it. Sometimes we go down one of these rabbit holes and we're like, nah, no, not it. But I'll log it away for later because you just never know. Like when people talk about him escaping to Argentina and stuff, and like, where did he go? Did they just stay there forever? And then was the government covering for it? Maybe. But it's like, we were talking about this a couple days ago, and then I heard Brian and JT talking about the Challenger thing. And you know, that rocket, and they wheeled out the TVs into everyone's classroom so they could watch it, but then it just so happened to blow up and everyone died. But then it turns out they're not dead. Like, you can find them, like, work at universities. And it's like, you know, one of the arguments that gets made was that, oh, they have twin siblings. Each one of them has, like, a twin. And so it's their twin that's still alive, not the original astronaut. But it's like, people need to remember that being a twin is considered basically a genetic mutation. It's not to say detrimentally that you're a problem, but it's not normal for there to be 2. It happens a lot, but that's not the formula. It's usually 1 egg, 1 sperm, 1 baby. So when you get 2, it's an anomaly. The egg has split, or there's 2, fraternal. The point is, it's not natural, it's not normal. Not to take away from the beauty of having twins, that's awesome. But if you were trying to be a NASA astronaut and you were a twin, you'd totally not be accepted because you are an anomaly we can't count for. And you're about to be shot into space in a multi-billion-dollar rocket at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and we can't risk that because you're not a normal person, you're a twin. I don't know that you're not going to pass through a psychological barrier and half your soul's going to get ripped out. We don't know. So twins don't go on rocket ships, dude. So the fact that they're like, oh, it's my twin, that's bullshit, dude. Absolute bullshit. And then the fact that they have this one guy who just goes by his own name. He doesn't even try to pretend that he's his twin or whatever. He just acts like, oh, that wasn't me. I don't know. He just never had to address it. And then people are like, well, they're probably watching him. They're spying on him. It's like, everyone thinks he's dead. If they were worried about him squealing, they would have just killed him for real. Why would they keep him alive but watch him? No, it's just because these people are evil and they're all in on the plan. They don't have to cover themselves because nobody cares. Only a tiny group of people are on the internet talking about this stuff. It seems like there's a lot of us, but it's like a bunch of podcasts like us. Until we have some kind of a big picture claim, until we kind of have like a big platform, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. But at least we're being authentic. That's what matters the most about this conspiracy theory world, is that all of us are really just trying to get to the bottom of it. That's why I have great respect for everybody, JT, Paul, and Brian, for even willing to take on the flat earth thing is just such an insurmountable thing. Excuse me. I've just been rambling. It's been really good, though. I've been having a great time with you guys tonight. I should probably take a second to mention that Brian said I look a lot like that based Christian meme. I know I said that to some of you guys who got in at the beginning, but when I see myself in profile, the ritual sacrifices will stop. Anyway, I think I'm gonna make one where it's like the meme and me, like looking at each other, like staring each other down. I think it'd be a fun meme, because I am the meme. Dojo says there should be 2 more made by them. Yeah, maybe what they should do is they should revisit the first one, address everything, and then make a 3rd one where we see the resolution, right? What were the issues we really got stuck on? How can we expand on that to learn? And I know that, like, I really, it's like, I think Brian is totally gonna be a biblical cosmologist in a second. Like, he already says he doesn't believe in outer space because it's too preposterous and the Van Allen belts, and there's plenty of evidence of things that he trusts is legit that he doesn't think. But it's like getting him to believe the Earth is like a meteorite with a flat surface on it. Like, it's just hard. We have to know, like, how do we illustrate the cosmology? It's difficult, but I like to look at the old world cosmologies because they understood. Like the Hebrew one where it's like a tent, and you have the land, and you have Sheol, and you have the cosmos in the firmament, and it's beautiful. It's simple. But I think it's very accurate, and I think that's why it's so ancient, because I think back in the day it was never a secret. I mean, think about it. Copernican heliocentrism or whatever, heliocentrism, I guess, the idea that the Earth is flying around a sun through space is a new idea in history. I mean, even though they say it goes back to like the 1500s, and there's a lot of stuff that supposedly went back that far, we already know that the calendar and the history has been severely messed with. So what does that leave us? I don't know, but I tend to believe that the globe is probably something that came after. That's a Little Season deception. The globe is something Satan probably invented after the millennial kingdom ended, because it was a vehicle, right? By creating a vehicle, you can put everyone on it and send them where you want them to go. And what the ball earth does is it creates scarcity of resource. It creates vastness of the universe. It puts God far away. It makes you insignificant. It justifies all of their worldly behaviors because there really is no God. It's just a space rock, So it was the vehicle by which they passed all their delusions about dinosaurs, evolution, climate change. All of those things can only happen on a ball earth flying through a fake space. That's the reality. But if you know that there's like a biblical cosmology and a true shape of the earth, everything changes, including all of the physics of what make the world work. So when you get people talking about free energy tech and electromagnetic and acoustic levitation and stuff, you can't use globe formulas and make all that stuff work. So if there's any secret to like how to make things levitate and like how to generate free energy, first of all, they'd kill you if you figured it out and went public. But second of all, the physics that we're taught in school are wrong. So you're being taught physics that are based on something that's not real. So if you tried to apply those physics, it doesn't work, which is why all of the aeronautics and all of the wind tunnel and everything they do to plan physics in reality is based on a fixed non-moving earth. You can see it in the files. This is one of those nails in the coffin, I guess you could say. Adrienne says, I really think Jesus taught way more than what they give us in the Bible. I love that you said that because my brother brought this up to me and I think it's a great concept, right? Jesus Christ was a man alive on the earth for 33 years for sure. And then he was crucified and resurrected and was here for a little bit longer. And then the debate begins about whether he's come back already or not. But the fact of the matter is, I come on this podcast once a week for this and Sunday service on Sunday. I only have generated something like some dozens of hours, and that's just like a couple times a week for like a year. Christ was teaching for a long time. And all the things he said, what about all the stuff he didn't get recorded? Do you think it's possible he had like a book? Like the book of Christ? And I don't mean like it was like, but like think about everything he ever said was wise. Everything he ever did was right. It's not just the 4 Gospels. What about after he came back? What about the archives of, oh my gosh, I got to show you guys something. Something just came to mind that's amazing. And I'm gonna preface this as I get it set up because I'm gonna have to send it to myself to be able to make this happen. But I received a photo from someone, and I'm not gonna say who it was because it's somebody that I think is trustworthy, and I don't think they were trying to they weren't trying to stand behind this as being like, oh yeah, this is real. I definitely believe this. But it was one of those things. Okay, you guys know how when we talk about old world and kingdom and the advanced technology potential of the old world, ether and healing acoustic buildings and all kinds of crazy implications. We've talked about that quite a bit. But I want to talk about another potential, which is the idea that there was possibly photography in the old world before the kingdom went away. And that there is possibly images of the world in the time before the whole Little Season and everything. Now, don't get me wrong. I know, obviously, and I'll preface this by saying that there is absolutely no way to verify an image you got sent to you off the internet by some random person who I'm not going to name. But the reality is that if the image is real, it changes absolutely everything. Of course, I'm not going to imply this image is real. I'm not even going to begin to try and convince you guys that it's a real picture. But someone sent it to me, and just this is me saying that as a conspiracy theory person, like, we have to be able to entertain everything. Yes, there were airships. Yes, there were cathedrals. Yes, there was free energy buildings. All kinds of strange things are totally possible, right? And then there's stuff like this. Okay, check this out. Okay, bear with me. Probably AI, probably Photoshop, probably both. Okay, nonsense, don't get your hopes up. But somebody sent me this and they're like, what if it was a real photo, man? And they screen capped it. I mean, this thing has been absolutely fried. Check this out. Who's this guy? Who's that guy look like? I don't know. I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying. It doesn't really mean anything. It's like, take your time. Here, let me see if it's possible for me to... Is there any way that I can... Oh, shoot. Well, that's the whole image right there. I can't really zoom it in any more than that. It's acting weird. But there you go. Enjoy that image. Screenshot it. Put it into 10i. Find the original one made by an AI, probably junk. But I'm just saying, you never know. There could have been tech back then. They might have had photos. And that's the question, right? Jesus was around for a long time, especially since we believe he reigned for 1,000 years. What did he teach with that 1,000 years? What were the things he said? What were the laws he passed? What kind of special holidays did they celebrate beyond just all the traditional stuff? What kind of people did they celebrate? What kind of inventions did they celebrate? And, I tend to think of the kingdom as like this period of time in history where things were collectively advancing the whole time, even right up until the end. And it could be possible that something like a photograph was taken in the late period. Since we're fantasizing here, it's probably nonsense, but look at the kind of energy these guys have. There's almost this kind of ominous. The teacher, he's saying something to this old sage guy who's listening intently. This person back here is following along closely. We even have another guy back here. And it looks like maybe he's got something in his hand. Can't really tell. Again, the image is kind of hard to see what's going on. It's kind of hard to tell if this is not just blatant AI in Photoshop. But I imagine like the vibe, right? If you try to entertain the idea that maybe we're getting close to the end and times are coming soon where things are going to get rough and there's this vibe in the air where it's kind of like, I don't know, man. What are we supposed to do? Everything will come to pass, he says. It's all coming to pass the way it should. Anyway, me totally fantasizing. Probably Photoshop, AI, or other bullshit. Okay. But I'm just saying, it would be cool. It would be cool. Oh, man. This has been a great time, guys. I didn't even plan to do all this. Oh, let's take a second to do a little shout out. I want to take a moment to shout out to all of the fantastic people who have been financially supporting the channel. I love all of you anyway, but of course, I can't buy things with nothing. And you guys have made it possible for me to acquire the Hollyland Lark M2 microphone. And this is personally just like, this is the coolest thing for me because I just feel like we're growing, right? This is really cool. I got a Black Friday deal. Don't worry, I spent your money wisely. But I just want to say this is really awesome. And so when we go to do more episodes of Guys Gotta Eat, it's going to be way better. Like I'm about to step into like the real pro food eating guy. So I just wanted to say thank you guys. That's patreon.com/thecultofcon. We have a free tier. You're welcome to join us there. I'll be sharing that FNG music video this weekend. I'm going to try to like every week going forward from here, give you guys a little something special. That FNG music video obviously is like me as a young gun being dumb and making stupid rap songs. But you know what? We learn, we grow. And it's just a little something to reminisce memory lane. So I'll share that with you guys. It'll be available to everybody for free. But we do, like I said, we have a couple of paid tiers. If you feel like supporting the channel financially, I will be very grateful. But I will love you the same even if you don't. So thank you for being here, everybody. Wow. It has been an awesome time so far. Chat is blowing up. You guys are amazing. I can't even keep up. I do my best. If I don't read your message, I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing what I can. Luckily, we're still a small enough group, you know. It's just, you guys obviously got a lot to say, which is good. I think it's good if we have a lot to talk about, because it would suck to just show up here and be like, what's up, guys? What's going on? You know, you guys always have something insightful to say and to share, so I'm really glad that you guys are here. Oh, Cage Fighter says, I could not even listen because they're shouting and talking over each other. They did get a little hyped up, you know, when they were doing their FE talk, but I think it was okay. Maybe my thing is that, like, I know how, like, disorganized and ADHD I am, and when I see other people, like, structuring, I'm like, man, this is so coherent. Like, I totally know what you guys are saying. That video is like, it wasn't perfect, but they came with receipts. So we need receipts. That's the biggest thing, is like, because like I can be convinced all I want, but what's the point if we don't have anything to share with you guys? Something for us to review, you know? Elizabeth, I hope you post that pic sometime, says Cage Fighter. I'd like to see it too. I want to see the goods. Let me see it. You drew the griffin? Is that what you saw? Yo. Adrienne says, I've been studying the writings of the Essenes because they were Nazarites. There's a lot to be uncovered there. Definitely, obviously, you know, tread carefully with any of that stuff, you know, but definitely check it out. There's a lot I still have yet to research about Essene writings and stuff, and a lot of it is because it's kind of threatening to me. It's like I was saying earlier, it's like, oh man, dissonance. And, you know, you don't want to get rid of something that you know is true in favor of something wrong just because you're afraid you're being dissonant, right? Like, oh, I'm having cognitive dissonance, I'll just accept it's true. Maybe not. Like, there's a lot of BS on the route here. Like, the enemy knows that at some point we'll start digging up the truth. So there are many pitfalls and traps and things placed along the road to trap us. That's how you get people like Old World Order. That's how you get a documentary like that created, because you got people like that are not. It's like half-assed, I guess you could say. It's just, the documentary should have been about 45 minutes longer, and it should have had a 15-minute preface talking about all the stuff Jesus said he would do, then show all the evidence, and then finish off with the conclusion. In conclusion, the reason why we don't understand how these people did it with donkeys is because they weren't using donkeys. And the reason these people were able to pull off such an advanced utopian civilization is because they were living under the iron rod of Jesus Christ, who didn't let bad guys do bad shit. Boom. That's the nail in the coffin for the old world. The white beard looks like Paul the Apostle from the movies. I'll bring the picture back up since that's what you guys are talking about. I said that too. I was like, who would be that old? Like, who would be around that was that old? And then I'm like, you know what? Paul was probably like an older dude. He may have even been that old looking. And before anyone says anything, I've been finding white hairs in my beard for the last like 2 weeks. It's only a matter of time before it's con man, just be renamed the white wizard of the internet or something. It's only a matter of time. Like, I hate to admit it, but like I turned 30 and I was like, I still got a good 10 years on me. Nope, wrong. Adrian says it's AI because they have no hands. Yeah, I could see why you say that, but they definitely look like they're wearing like coats, like big robes or coats or something. It even almost kind of looks cold to me, except for that it kind of looks like maybe they're walking through some tall grass, like a grain field. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Do you think the regular people went to the camp of saints when the MK ended? That's a great question, First Love Truth. I don't think that there were any, like, so here's an example. The saints are going to be the people who, during the time of earth before Christ was here, were righteous people who loved God. That's what a saint is in the old definition. Before you could accept Christ, who could you serve? God, who you barely know, and live out your whole life that way, like someone like Job. That's a guy who would be considered a saint. There's a great possibility that Job was there. I actually think it's a fact. And so what you would have is those are the saints. And so, but here's the deal, right? I have a great reason to think that when God took the kingdom away or went into cloak, as I've heard people say, or like when this little season began, the saints and everybody are away from our purview. We don't know where they are. There very well could be a camp there. I like to think that the New Jerusalem's like a holy floating city, right? And I think it's positioned there over the North Pole. I think the reason compasses point north is for the pilgrimage. I think that that's the reason why the electromagnetic field emanates out from the pole, because it's the presence of God's throne and immanence. The green and purple rainbow of the throne is the aurora borealis. We know all this stuff. But I think that the camp of the saints is probably like a hyperborea city, like beneath the floating city, there's a ground city. And that is, I think, the camp of the saints. And when I say that, I mean, I think there may even come a point where the people of this world will have to move there. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Just spitballing here. Satan's going to convince everybody to go to war with God. That's the plan. That's what the prophecy says. I'm not going to war with Jesus. I don't know about you. Where are we going to go? Like, there could very well be a thing where it's like everyone's moving to Hyperborea to not be a part of the war. And they'll say, oh, they're alien worshipers. They're going to serve Satan or whatever. They're loyalists to Thanos. I don't care what they call me or whatever, but it's like, I'll move to the camp if I can. But I get the feeling that it's probably, I could never tell you. I'm not that biblically knowledgeable. And then it's just one of those things, only God really knows how it's going to go. But my theory is that there is a place. It's a physical place. That's how you surround it. It has to be there for you to surround it. And I know a lot of people say the kingdom is a spiritual place, and there is a spiritual element. I mean, the fact that the kingdom exists, even though you can't see it, is spiritual. Like, it's an ethereal concept. It's real. It's just not, it's within. It's like the wind. You can feel it and you can tell where it's going, but you don't know where it comes from. You know what I mean? It's just like that. But the wind really blows on things. The wind knocks things over, and apparently, it can have a huge impact on the situation. So the point I'm trying to make is just that, like, I think it's very possible that we'll see a real, actual battle, possibly in our lifetime. There might actually be, like, I think that's what all this alien stuff and all this Elon and brain tech and fake free speech and Trump and everything, it's all part of bringing people out of the slumber they were in for so long in order to get them onto the next track, which is for whatever reason. I think what it comes down to is the enemy knows the story way better than we do. They've had access to all the secret files, all of the lost knowledge. These people all grew up. Jack Black grew up in Mason school. He's a little Satanist. Like, all the crap that we've figured out about Little Caesar, he's known all of his life. It's like Stephen King or any of these other people that get all this money and fame for telling us stories that are built into our genetic memory. They're just selling us back our own history, selling us back our own lost technology in a shittier, more disposable way. So if that's what they're doing to us, there's no way that they're going to, like, give us any slack. If they know the time is short, there's cosmological things happening saying your time is over. This is something I wanted to talk about that I never got to finish with a long time ago, a couple months ago, or I guess a few weeks back. I don't know. I had a podcast, and towards the end of the podcast, I guess it was episode 11 because it's the episode that got banned. And Paul was talking about how he was watching it and was kind of far towards the end, looking at this part where I started talking about the solar sun thing, the fake sun conspiracy. And I had never spent a lot of time looking into it, but I had this theory come to my mind, and I just want you guys to think about this for a minute. When we look at this world map, and there's the small area, the UN map, little circle where we live, and then there's the greater Earth, and everybody thinks, oh, there's an ice wall here, that's why we can't go here, and it's because our sun only moves around in here and not out there. And I just wonder, like, it talks about when Christ's kingdom is coming, there'll be no more sun because the sun will light the earth. The Jesus Christ will be the light and heat of the earth. He will be the light of the world, and there'll be no more sun. What if he came back and the sun passed away, right? And there is no sun. And the kingdom reigned for 1,000 years, and then the kingdom went away and darkness fell on the earth. And the only reason we have a sun is because they built one, and they've been running a fake fucking sun the whole time. And that's why it looks like that weird honeycomb thing with a black. I'm just spitballing, okay? I'm sorry for the profanity, but it's just, I think it's possible, right? Why would the whole world be dark except for this little section? That doesn't even make any sense. Why would God build the world to be like black everywhere except for this little spot? And then I know people talked about it, and they made a great point that, like, if you moved from one area to another, it would be a new earth, different from the one you're on, and the skies above, the heaven there would be different than the heaven over here because of where you're oriented. So maybe they used to live over here and they moved over here, new heaven, new earth. Maybe. But I tend to think it means the whole thing. New. This is a dirty place with a bunch of rotten old buildings. Some good guys and some bad guy buildings. And I'm just saying that, like, it's not new. There's nothing new under the sun here. Anyway, I don't know, dude. I'm not trying to say I really believe in a fake sun, but wouldn't it just be satanic that God's like, all right, your turn. Dark Ages, you do what you want with that. Because I'm the light of the world and now there is no sun. Here, enjoy your little season. Have fun with it. And so Satan's like, oh shit, solar array makes a fake sun, projects a moon up there. It could be the real projection, but don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to give credit to Satan. I'm not trying to say God can't do anything or to take away from the beauty of the moon or the sun or the perfect system God created, okay? Everything's on circuits. Everything's awesome. That's probably the way it is. There probably isn't a fake sun. That's probably all nonsense. But, you know, we live in a world of such massive deception. The father of lies is running the show right now, so anything is possible. MK Ryan shows up. Oh, right on time. You know what's funny? I don't know where you're from, Ryan, but like, you know, everybody always brings up that we shoot this so late on Wednesday, and you know, most people, it's like, who's the show for? Because I live on the West Coast and it's late over here. So everyone back east, way too late. Everyone in the UK, it's like tomorrow already. Like, who's the audience? So it's like, MK Ryan, right on time. Yeah. I'm not late. I'm early for tomorrow. Doctor Who, you're a loony. I was wondering when I'd see you, man. Yeah, I'm a little bit wild. I'm a little bit crazy. I know I was telling my coworker like a week ago, new guy, Cameron. He's like 24, younger guy. I started talking to him about, you know, I pretty much think that dinosaurs are made up. I went on like a giant diatribe about how dinosaurs aren't real. And he was like, yeah. I know that I walked away and he was like, that guy is fucking crazy. I know he was like, I could tell by the look on his face. He was like, oh yeah. And he's like, we should go, we talked about, let's go get a beer sometime. I'll tell you some crazy conspiracy. He's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then I'm sure as soon as I walked away, he was like, that guy is crazy. And I know they talk about me too, because there's this girl at my work that she's like, I don't know what her deal is, but she really avoids me like the plague. I don't think she doesn't like me. I think she thinks I'm a stud. Wendy and I talked about it. I think the verdict is that I must just be super sexy or something. She just can't handle my vibe. Like, imagine I walk in and I'm like super based and I look over and I'm like, anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying. She always avoids me, and I swear it's probably because Cameron was like, yeah, Connor seems like a pretty cool guy. And she's like, yeah, I know. I think he's got a weird thing for me or something. And he was like, oh, I don't know. You know, he told me that dinosaurs aren't real. And she's like, what the fuck? That guy is crazy. She's like, I have to work with that guy. Wendy has a great point here as a rebuttal to my nonsense about fake sun. She says, except the sun doesn't create daylight. It rules over the daylight. The light was created first, then the sun set over it. I like that. That's very biblical. That's very biblical because it does say that he said, let there be light. So there's the concept of light first, the presence of light. And then he creates a light something to rule over the day to the night. You know, you're right. Very good way to put it, Wendy. I love that. Season of deception. Get behind us, Satan, says Doctor Who. That was a hits blunt theory. A bit of theorizing. Yeah, you know. Cage fighter, I'm falling asleep. It's okay. I don't know how you could fall asleep with this crazy thing going on in the background. I hope you turn the volume down a little bit so you don't hear this crazy guy ranting. Pearl's like, it's 9:48 where I'm at. 9:48 p.m. You guys are wild. Dude, what if the sun is like fake, bro? Okay, but that's not as bad as last week where I was like, Thanksgiving is a myth. I don't think Thanksgiving is real, guys. I think it's made up. But it is. It is made up. David, I tell so many people dinosaurs are fake. I'm so much quicker to believe that like dinosaur bones are like, it's Nephilim. Like they dug up giants. There could even be dragons. I think Brian from Demon Erasers made a great point about the fact that there's these types of dragons, like subclasses. Like there's this one that's called a wyvern, which doesn't have 4 legs. It only has back legs and wings. And the T-Rex, like, literally is that. Like, the skeleton they present for T-Rex, those little arms are not arms, it's the wings. Most of the wing structure is made of, like, cartilage and very light bones that wouldn't survive. Like, if you're talking about avian creatures, like, a lot of those bones are, like, they're really fragile and light, porous. They crumble and disappear. You can't really get fossilized birds very much. So, anyway, I think he made a great point that they could be dragons. But that's the thing, like, we're not taught that dragons are real. We're taught that dragons are fake, even though multiple cultures, South America, medieval Europe, China, everyone has their own stories about dragons, but it's all made up. Don't listen to anybody that says that. When they say I'm nuts, I say, you haven't heard my thoughts about pandas yet. I heard somebody saying they don't believe pandas are real. Like that they're genetically engineered and that's why there's only so many of them and why China's really serious about like controlling them. Apparently China owns like all the pandas on Earth. Even the ones we have in the zoo in the US are like on lease from China. Very weird. David says birds aren't real is fun as well. So here's the thing about birds not being real. I think that there are definitely fake birds. 100%. But there are plenty of real birds too. And I know that because living in the Northwest, like you spend a lot of time like at the coast, and because like Portland is up the river from the beach, there's seagulls everywhere. And if they're faking the seagull population, that is an enormous waste of money for no reason. They're utterly useless. They just fly around screaming all day. There's no reason to fake those. Like it doesn't, you could just not have them. It'd be fine otherwise because they're shitting all over everything. And literally one stole my food. I'm like, no, I don't think that's a conspiracy. But at the same time, right, if you were going to spy on people, a drone that looked and seemed like a real bird is freaking perfect. Like no one would ever even think that that was real. And then even if you like, you know, even if you caught on to the idea that they might be using birds as drones, if you have people looking at every bird and every bird is a drone. Is my nose bleeding? My nose has been bleeding like crazy lately. Probably happening. Can't tell. I'll just lean back a little bit. Pardon me if my nose starts bleeding. I know that's less than cute, but just it's been so dry lately. My nose has bled like 4 times in the last 3 days. So if I start bleeding everywhere, at least you'll know my blood's red and not green, like some kind of reptilian. Cage Fighter says they say raccoons are too. Yeah, Adrian, all birds are fake till a pigeon poops on my truck. Yeah, or like on you. I had a seagull crap on me one time, like right in the chest. Like it kind of came down on me back when I lived in North Portland. I was waiting for a bus. I had to ride a bus for like 45 minutes with bird shit all over me. Wendy's like, some birds are real. Some. Yeah, I'm with you, Pearl. There's a lot of seagulls in Washington State. David, they only eat bamboo and they're only fertile 1 day a year, pandas. Yeah, black and white for no reason. Yeah, their biome is not black and white. Why are they black and white? They're sticking out like a sore thumb. MK Ryan says, Owen Benjamin noted that panda wasn't in a 1933 dictionary. In a 1954 dictionary, it was a raccoon cat from northern India. Something fishy going on for sure. I agree. Pearl says, it's been dry here too, and I'm in Florida, humid capital of the U.S. Yeah, it's just been weird. I mean, once the weather gets cold out here, everything freezes like... I'll tell you guys a story that happened to me the other day. I told Wendy about it already, but I'll take the chance to share it with you guys just because it's spooky and creepy, and we're almost out of time, so I might as well share something wild before I go because that's the ADD formula or whatever. So it was it Monday? Monday morning. It was really frosty and cold. And when I go to work in the morning, it's dark. I get to work before the sun comes up. And it's not that impressive, but I start at like 7. So I'm usually up around 5 in the morning, screwing around and going outside and whatever. And I usually go around, I get some fresh air in the morning, helps wake me up. I'll go out and look at my car and make sure it's like still there. Just do a little morning stuff. And I came out and I was looking around, and sometimes I have this little dialogue with myself where I'll just be like, why are we doing this? Why am I waking up right now? Like, I understand I have to have a job and pay bills. But I just look at the world in general. It's like, it's so cold. It's pitch black out here. You can't see shit, man. Like, what are we doing? And I was standing out there and I was looking out at the end of the driveway, and this is where the spookiest thing that's ever happened to me happens. Maybe the spookiest thing I've ever experienced, okay? So I was walking down. My car was on my left. I got towards the end of the driveway, and I'll take a picture and share with you guys where I was standing so you guys can see what I was looking at, because it's so creepy. I couldn't even describe it to you. At the end of my driveway, there's a road that runs to the neighborhood, and across the road on the corner is like a single lone street light, and there isn't one up the block to the right or to the like on either side. So it's like a lone street light, and it's already spooky, but there was this heavy fog, and so it was like dark outside, heavy fog, single street light, super creepy on its own. And I looked over there and I thought to myself out loud, that's fucking weird. And as soon as I looked over there, I saw the only way I can describe it, and you're going to have to trust me because I know it sounds crazy, but it was like an 8-foot tall, I described it as an alien in a radiation suit. Like it looked like a yellow hazmat suit. And the way I'll describe it is it's not like you know how, have you ever seen like a hazmat suit where it's like you wear a gas mask and then you have like a hood and the hood cinches up around your mask? It wasn't like that. It was like a virology lab pressure suit. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of one. Let's see if they have a yellow one. No, see, because that's a space suit. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Check it out. That. You see that right there? How it has like a helmet that has like a shape to it? I saw this fucking 8-foot alien in a freaking yellow suit just like that one, man. It even, the reason this is so spooky is because the thing, okay, so here's what happened. I saw it and it moved from right to left under the streetlight beam, and it took like one really long step to where it wasn't directly centered under the beam. It was slightly off to the side. And then as it moved, it got like into the beam and out of the beam. So I kind of saw it slightly better for a split second, and then it moved out of view. And what it looked like to me was like a really tall dude in one of these rad suits like this, or one of these pressure virology suits. And what was so creepy about it is it looked rubbery. Like it looked like it was like, it didn't. So this is the reason why this picture is speaking to me, is because if you look at like this suit and this one, you see how there's all this like texture mumbo jumbo on it when it's a spacesuit, or look at how there's like patches and ropes and cables and shit. But like this thing right here, it looks inflatable. Like it is inflatable, right? It's an air supply suit. It's so you can work on viral pathogens inside a lab and not get contaminated and die. So why is there an alien wearing a freaking pressure suit at the end of my driveway? Fucking creepy, dude. And you know what? I told Wendy this. It reminded me a lot of like Monsters, Inc. And we looked into some stuff about Monsters, Inc. trying to see if it had anything to do with it. We're like trying to get to the bottom. Like, what the fuck was that? Like, I'm not the kind of person to make this shit up. What do I get out of this? A freaky alien? Like, and I talked about it with Wendy. I explained how, like, over the course of the years, we've done a lot to kind of like pray a hedge of protection around this property and declare this land in favor of the Lord's kingdom and ask the Lord to just keep anything weird from coming here. And ever since then, I mean, we had this issue with the demon that like was creating the smell of a rotten fish. I think I talked about that before. We prayed it away, and we've never experienced that again. But over the course of the last few years, we've had a lot of invasions. And by that, I mean the house has been attacked by strangers. There's this one lady we call the witch, and she shows up and she like thinks she's supposed to live here. And it's super creepy. And like the first time we ever saw her, she just like drove into the driveway. This weird random lady. And she was like, I live here. Like this is my house. I used to live here. And it's like, and she was like, can I go in the backyard? I'm like, no, get out of here. You're crazy. And she would show up time and time again, even though we told her to go away. And it was so creepy. There was this other guy, long-haired, disheveled-looking guy who like came stumbling out of the forest in the middle of the daytime one time. There was this roof salesman who showed up and like would not take no for an answer. And I had a gun, and I was like, get out of here! I'd like chase him off at gunpoint. And I was like, are you fucking retarded? Like, I was like, it was crazy. All I want is peace, okay? And we get these weirdos who show up here, and I think that the reason why, there's a lot to be said. Wendy was saying they're probably demons, and it's totally possible. I'm not saying they're not. And they're at least like demon-possessed maniacs and weirdos trying to cause havoc and stir up my Hakuna Matata. I'm not about it. But I obviously think what's going on here is that there really is like a hedge of protection. There's like the Lord's own protection over this land. And I think that what happens is the demons aren't allowed in. So they sent people in to come walk through the barrier with their dumb, oafish, body odor smelling corpse. And they come over reeking and coming over to do problems in my life. And then the other thing is like I look out just past the threshold of the property. There's like a rat suit alien looking at me. It's like, dude, no. Get out of here. I'm not doing it. And here's the thing, guys, is like, I'm not going to say I'm fearless. That was so terrifying. I went back in the house. But at the same time, it's like, what are you supposed to do? I mean, I'd like, get behind me, Satan, in the name of Jesus, be gone. And then like I've delivered my salvo. I got nothing else to say. I mean, I went to work. What am I supposed to do? And yeah, it caused me anxiety. I don't like the idea of like leaving my house with aliens in the front yard. But it's like, dude, what are you supposed to do? You got to get paid somehow. Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. 2319! Yeah, apparently in Monsters, Inc., they have the little yellow suit people are the child detection agency. Wendy and I looked that up. It's so creepy. Sorry to disappoint you, alien. I am well past legal age. Oh, it was CDA, Con Man Detection Agency. Duh. Should have known. What's this channel here that Ryan's recommending? I want to see it. RFT KOHIAH has a whole playlist of videos about animals he thinks are fake. He's a bit out there, but they're interesting. Rift Kohaya. I'll say it one more time for the viewer. RFT KOHIAH. Check it out. Animals aren't real, brah. You saw a giant nude minion. It was. I swear, it was like, in the moment, too, it was so real. I was so scared, and I heard it, and it was like, banana. No! Oh, shoot. Yeah, it was very much like Monsters, Inc. It had me really uneasy. Sandra, mama, she's like, why are you waiting till the very end to share it? Because I forgot about it. Just too much going on. There's no end. If you want to catch up on more crazy stuff, we'll be back next week and every other Wednesday at 6 p.m. for the Main Character Podcast. What time is it, guys? Holy smokes. We out of time. Well, I guess that's it then. Guys gotta eat. Well, everybody, I do want to say it has been a fantastic afternoon, evening, or morning, or 3 a.m., whatever time zone you're in. Thank you guys for coming out. This has been the Main Character Podcast, level 20, made possible by the Cult of Khan. That's you guys. Thank you for being here. But before we go, I just want to catch up with chat. Obviously, just want to make sure that everybody got a chance. Oh, what's up, Ezra? I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome in. I hope you get a chance to rewind and enjoy this whole wild, crazy conversation. You guys, that's pretty much it. We're going to wrap it up. Watch out for yellow suit aliens. And primarily, you know, say your prayers every day, every night, because the wiles of the devil are nonstop. When the Lord taught everyone to pray, he gave a specific formula, and one of the things he says as part of the prayer is deliver us from the evil one. You know, he says, give us this day our daily bread and deliver us from the evil one. And there's a reason that Christ tells us to ask to be delivered from the evil one. It's because every day the enemy is out to try and get you, to try and get me, to try and get any one of us. So it's very important that we put our money where our mouth is. We trust in the Lord. We give it up to him, and we let him do his thing. Them demons out there ain't no joke. Not something to mess with. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to let you go. It's been awesome. I should have outro music. That's actually something I'm working on. That's the reason why you guys are getting like some reminiscent old music videos and stuff at the start, because I just don't want to get any more copyrights. I hate those dang things. This video has been banned in the United States because you played songs there. We'll see what happens. We reviewed some stuff. They'll probably say, oh, you owe Jack Black your soul because you reviewed his movie trailer, and now I'm going to have to fight him in some celestial court. Don't worry, I've got the best advocate ever. His name is Jesus. My soul already belongs to him. I say this releasing the Christ Supremacist song, which is another thing. I know I'm supposed to be leaving, but I've been trying to get back into working on music because I have all these songs that I've been like chiseling away at for a long time, and I've decided instead of trying to worry about making a whole album, I'm just going to start releasing the songs one at a time. And over the next couple months, you guys will just get new songs, and once it's all done, we'll make an album out of it. How about that? Once like 6 months or a year goes by and there's like 8 or 10 songs, we'll make it an album, we'll slap it together, and we'll say, boom, The Cult of Khan. We don't even need a theme. But anyway, in that Christ Supremacist song, I talk a little bit about like that whole idea. I don't know what I was even saying. I forgot. It's too late for me, guys. I gotta eat. I gotta sleep, you know, the whole thing. It was a good time, though. Really a good time. For all of you guys who are our regulars, you already know how it goes. You know what it is. But if you're listening to this for the first time, thank you for being here. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share if you enjoyed the show. We are back every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific for the Main Character Podcast. And then you can also find us Sunday morning at 8:30 a.m. for Sunday service. Monday, 8 p.m., Guys Gotta Eat. And Friday, Bulge Khalifa. With all that being said, you guys are great. Have a wonderful night, and we will see you guys this Sunday for the Sunday service. Take care, you beautiful people. Have a great night. Thank you for being here.